Welcome to Sanctuary's first fan panel, where we talk about superheroes, comic books, films, and anything to do with the superhero genre. I want to introduce our team. I want to introduce Hayden. Unfortunately, Steve's not here today, and also I'm Phil. And so, Hayden, thanks for coming on, man. It's great to hear from you.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here. I'm excited for us to see what we can do and talk about with all comic book related stuff.
I'm excited. Like when I first heard the idea from Bob, I was like, man, I'm gonna love this. It's just so chill, down to earth, and I think people will actually really engage in this because people can relate with so much of this with the superheroes, even the movies. I think it's great that people can sit down and be like, hey, I can relate with these guys, and so yeah, I'm just so excited that it's finally happening right now.
Yes, I know it's been a work in progress. We've been trying to get this thing to work for so long, but as
Yeah.
people could probably tell, you're from Australia, from by your accent. I'm from America, and then Steve is in Wales, I believe. Is that where he's at? So we got three different time zones we're working with here, and it's been like I feel like Tom Cruise trying to get this thing figured out, Mission Impossible, because it's been. But we did it. We did it. We're here.
No, we did it. We had a mission, we achieved it. So to start off, so I wanted to ask a few questions. So this whole first podcast is about getting to know each other, and so I want to ask you, how long have you been a part of Sanctuary, and also your favorite superhero, and how they inspired you. So I want the people to watch this to go, hey, oh wow, like I was inspired by heroes too. So I want people to see how you were inspired.
Yeah. So for the first question, how long I've been involved in Sanctuary? That's I think.
Yeah.
Let's see. I met Bob. So okay, I've been watching. I used to watch Pastor Bob daily before it was Pastor Bob's Coffee Break. I used to watch Pastor Bob daily when I was in high school, and I watched that every morning. That was my tradition. And then I would email Bob and every once in a while, and then I actually met him like through FaceTime on like my senior year of high school. So that was 2017, and then I eventually met him, and like that goes into the story of like when I made the Crimson Six, the comic book that we did with Sanctuary. That started in 2018. So that's when I started like working with Bob and stuff. But yeah, so I've known him before then, but like 2018 was when I like first got involved with Sanctuary and all that. But my favorite superhero though, I would have to say like I love. Okay, here's the thing. I love Batman, but I think Spider-Man takes the cake for me. And the reason why is because he's probably the most relatable for me because he's like if you read the books, he's a nerd. Like he doesn't know how to talk to girls. He's like he struggles with like he has financial issues. Like in all the books, he's trying to like make his rent without getting kicked out. So it's like but all this while he's like trying to be a hero and just all that great stuff, you know? So like for me, like Spider-Man's just the dude. He's the man.
I have to definitely agree with that, man. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean he's
Um,
the guy, Peter Parker.
Peter Parker. Oh yeah, man. So for me, how long have I been in Sanctuary? I actually gave Bob a little bit of a hand a few months ago. And so I met Bob very similar to you. I was watching Pastor Bob daily. I grew up with my brothers owning a bunch of videotapes where they did a lot of recordings with bands. And then I started following Bob, like as from Pastor Bob Daily to now Pastor Bob's Coffee Break. And years and years ago, I was just going through a bit of a rough patch. And I don't know, it was out of the blue. Bob actually sent me a message going, hey, is everything all right? And it was great. I was like, oh, wow. The man himself. Wow. And so, yeah, ever since then, he's been keeping contact and it's been amazing. So he offered me to do a few family chats for Sanctuary during when the COVID pandemic hit and yeah, so on from here. And here we are now. I would say my favorite superhero, man, to me, that is most relatable to me, would always have to be Batman. Like, I don't know, the fact that the Bruce Wayne was born into like wealth, but it just one thing I loved about him is that when his parents were killed in front of him, It's like he wanted to give back to the community, to go, what pain I felt, I don't want anybody else to go through. So
Yes.
he put himself in such a poor situation where he felt so flat and just so broken. He wanted to commit every circumstance and to save Gotham and to make a difference. And I'm like, wow. So I think the moral of that story is that when you feel hurt, broken, you can relate to it. And, it's same thing for Spidey, man. Like with Spider-Man, like Stan Lee, when at the time when he was writing Spider-Man, he was getting told the story won't work, it's stupid, and he was struggling financially, and he just thought, no, this is what's happening in the world. And when he created it, these heroes could relate, and that's why they're making such a big difference today. I think, yeah, it's awesome, man. That's for me personally.
Dude, that's an amazing answer. Now I feel like jealous because your answer is so good. No, I completely agree with you though on like the whole Batman thing. Like, Batman. I think like one of the things I also love about Batman is how he's basically learned to not give in to fear. Like that's a really big theme for him too. And I think that's like it's crazy to see like the fact that when you get rid of fear, what you're able to do. I mean, in a comic book form, he uses his fear on other people. So it's like you don't really want to do that. But like no, I Batman's my second favorite. I would just say
Well, that's
Spider-Man
what I've
for
been
me is
doing this
like
whole time.
dang man, dang. No, yeah, I
No,
completely agree
no.
though. Yeah, I think we're like
Yeah.
I'm like right there, like Batman's right below Spider-Man for me. But it's just because Spider-Man was like my first like I grew up with the Tobey Maguire Spider-Mans, so I'm like it's close to my heart.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think it's amazing when you actually look at all the different actors that have portrayed the heroes over the years. And Toby has always sat on my heart because I grew up like thinking, I want to be Spider-Man and I want to look like him. But, now you look at me, I'm not there at all.
Dude, well, so the quick funny story. I used to love Spider-Man so much that for my birthday one year, my dad called because my mom was taking care of me at home, and my dad called acting like Spider-Man, but I was so shy that I was afraid to talk to him. So like she gave me the phone, and I was too shy because I thought I was talking to Spider-Man, so I was too shy to talk,
Yeah.
so I didn't say anything. But yeah.
Oh, that's so funny. Oh, dude, that's awesome. So let's get to it, man. So I just want to ask, what's your actual favorite superhero films? And you could give me a top 10 and like what you loved about them, how you related, and yeah, man, that'll be cool.
Oh man, I don't know if I can give you a top 10 because I haven't thought that out enough, and I would like knowing me
Or
like
even a top five, or what? Yeah.
all right, let's see what we got. I mean, obviously, The Dark Knight is in there. Obviously,
Oh,
I
yeah,
mean
oh
that's
yeah,
not like that's just a given. Like I love Captain America: The Winter Soldier, and I love that movie
yeah,
for pretty much every reason. Like quality wise,
yeah,
story wise, like I love the theme of that because it's basically like Captain America is committed to saving his friend, even though his friend is a being used as a terrible person basically, but Captain America literally like will not let him go. And like for me like that's got like gospel
yeah,
written all over it, but I love that movie is amazing. I love I also this could be kind of weird. I actually think I like The Dark Knight Rises more than I like The Dark Knight, but I think that's just because I've seen The Dark Knight so many times that The Dark Knight Rises gives me
yeah,
like a break. I would say obviously the Sam Raimi Tobey Maguire Spider-Man trilogy is really good. I'm trying to think of like, man, there's so many of them now. Like, I feel like there weren't a whole lot when I was like a kid, and now there's just like just two a year basically. But yeah, I
yeah,
would say those are probably like my tops. I'm trying to think if like okay, Iron Man. Iron Man's a very good one as well. That one is like the reason why we have the MCU. But that's what I can give you on the top of my head. What do you got?
what I got. Oh, well, you hit the nail on the head, man. That was amazing. Um, so for me, I don't know. I really connected so well with the Michael Keaton Batman movies when those first two came out when I was young. When I watched him, to me, he was Batman. I was like, wow, this is incredible. The way the Batmobile was, and the way that how Tim Burton captured Batman, and one he just released that film when I was young. Like I wasn't born during those times in 1989, but when I grew up watching, I'm like, wow, this is incredible too. And I just felt that Warner Brothers flopped when they just released like Batman Forever and Batman and
Oh,
Robin.
jeez.
They were horrible. I'm like, this guy is not Batman. And so when they released, I don't know, I would say those two are definitely in my top five. When they released Batman Begins, I think, Warner Brothers gave a whole new direction with Batman, like an actual realistic take. Like if Batman was in this world, how would it go? And I think Batman Begins would be in my top three right now. I think they smashed it out of the ballpark, like with how Bruce Wayne was, why he disappeared and came back and had a mission to believe how he could protect Gotham and how he became Batman. Like, how Alfred said, why bats? He goes, because I fear them. And then he became what he feared. And, so he overcome, what he was scared of. And I thought that was amazing. But I think number four would have to be like Avengers, Infinity War. The reason
Oh,
why
yeah.
I felt the way they depicted Thanos, like, near that end scene, spoiler alert, sorry, near that end scene where he came to Wakanda, they sensed his presence. They were like, he's coming. And I
Yes.
remember when I was in the audience, everyone felt scared. And I even heard a woman crying, like, I'm like, and I never felt so scared before, but the way that the Russo brothers directed that film, you actually felt like like Thanos was coming into that cinema to just get everyone or just to snap everyone out of existence. I was like, wow. I think the way they did that film was just incredible. Like the ending it in such a traumatic way. You're like, whoa. I just thought it was incredible. But I wouldn't say this is, though I would say this is in my top five for many reasons. I didn't enjoy the film as much, but I love the way that the characters were brought to life. Would be Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice. I
Yeah.
There's reasons why I don't like the film. One, Warner Brothers never really released the real version of what Zack Snyder wanted to do. The real script is out there. Unfortunately, there was a bit of a issues going on with the CEO, and they rewrote the script. And what we saw wasn't actually the real version with what we were meant to see. But
Oh,
we got to
interesting.
see Zack Snyder bring Batman and Superman to life, and when they were brought together in the scene where Batman stepped up out of the Batmobile, like, you saw like, okay, all right. But that fight scene where Batman just got up and just started beating him up, going, you're not brave, men are brave. I was like, they depicted that so well. I was like, I love that. I just feel Ben Affleck portrayed the best live action Batman. People are willing to debate with me, but look, I just from what I saw was just literally his Batman,
Yes.
and
I also
I'm
and I
ecstatic.
also like because he looked like he has the body type of like the animated series Batman, which to me is my Batman.
Thank you.
Yes. Yeah. Like yeah. I'm right there with you.
So we were talking the other week about the Batman with Robert Pattinson, and we were both getting excited. How did you feel about that?
I was pumped, dude. I watched that trailer probably I've watched it probably 10 times. Like I think I was really nervous. I wasn't nervous about Robert Pattinson as an actor
Yeah.
cuz he's a great actor. Like if you take away like Twilight, like he didn't even like Twilight. So it's like take Twilight out of the picture, and then like the stuff he's done, he's actually a really great actor and you can tell he actually cares about it. And he also I think like he has the look of a Bruce Wayne, of a young Bruce Wayne. I wouldn't say body type, like it's not like Ben Affleck, like the animated series, like I'm gonna beat you up, but he has that like, oh, I could see him being like a young Bruce Wayne. But I thought the trailer looked really good, and considering they only shot the trailer was only made of 25% of what they of the actual movie because they've only shot 25% of the movie right now, which is insane to think about because they made that trailer with only that. I'm excited. I think seeing the Riddler back will be very interesting. Seeing the Penguin back will be really interesting. And I think like it honestly looked kind of scary, to be honest with you. Like I hate horror movies. Like I hate scary movies. So part of me is kind of like nervous for that part. But the part where he beats that guy up and then says like I'm vengeance or whatever he says. Oh my goodness. I'm like I got goosebumps. I was
Yeah,
so pumped.
I'm getting goosebumps right now, man. Well, I'm so excited for the film. When I first saw it, like, when I saw that scene, like, who are you supposed to be? And he just punches the guy, breaks his arm, and keeps backing
Yeah.
him. I'm like, okay, is he gonna say I'm
And he
Batman? But
goes for it. And he goes for it. Like he's like, like he did. Yeah, I was like, my goodness, man, this is like Ben Affleck Batman violence right here.
I saw a guy comment on the video going, I swear this Batman probably watched his parents die like the same amount of times that we have.
Probably that's a good. That's a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah, man. I think they got a lot of good films coming up. Even the Marvel movies. They're Black Widow. They got even on Disney Plus, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, WandaVision. I think this is going to be the next year is going to be the year of superhero films, and it's going to be exciting. It's a shame that during COVID, these things have just been put on pause. We're just waiting. And I think this is a good time that we can turn back to the things that we love, even read some of the old comic books. And yeah, I think it's awesome. So getting on to the next question, man. Do you collect any memorabilia? Like, I know that you like draw a lot of superheroes, even made an incredible comic book, man. Do you like collect anything, like any comic books, even figurines, man?
So I collect comic books. I don't collect like figurines and stuff just because I just don't have the money for them right now. Like I don't have the money to say I'm gonna, to buy
Yeah,
like
yeah,
a $60 collectible. I wish I did, and I'm working towards that. Like, but
yeah,
I collect comic books. I mainly so like it's kind of in a weird place right now. I collect comic books mainly for art inspiration.
yeah,
So just to look at so like anything by Greg Capullo, obviously anything
yeah.
by John Romita Jr. I love him. I love like all that. But I got this really sick. It's called Batman Noir Court of Owls, and what it is, it's the Court of Owls, but they took all the color out, so it's just the inks, and so you can look at like all of the detail and the art that Greg Capullo and Jonathan Glapion, who's the inker, did. But I love that type of stuff, like the cool like special edition arty stuff. And this is like talking. I feel like my case has just been that I'm a huge Batman fanboy. Like I don't read just Batman stuff, but it seems like the best books seem to be Batman books. So, but like I've got a lot of like books like that. I have a huge pile right next to me and stuff. And I remember we had a store called Hastings that went out of business about 2 years ago, I think.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so yeah, and it had tons of comic books. So like I bought like mystery bundles just for like $7, and you got like 50 comic books. So I have a bunch of random. Some are really good. Some are like the Vampire Diaries, the comic book. So I was like, okay, well, you know what I mean? But I've got like all this like good stuff. But yeah, I love comic books. I got these guys right here that I got a long time ago where it's all like the classic, uh, like the Adam West type figurines a little bit
Oh,
that
I
my grandpa
love
got me
Adam
a
West,
long
man.
time ago. But that's about as far as in that area it is. No, but I love comic books, and obviously I don't know how I forgot this. I have a Judge Dredd collection that I
Oh
one
man,
day I want to get a helmet and everything, but I have like I'm working on getting the omnibuses, so I'm like I've got 6 of them so far. I want to get all of them, but they're still going, so it's hard to keep up. What about you? I noticed you got 2 figures up there. No, you got 3. You got 3 up there.
three. That's actually not even the quarter of what I have. I actually been collecting them over the years. I actually have like nearly quite a lot, man. I even had to give some of my collection to my nephew. So I was like, which because I got so many nieces and nephews. I was like, I'm moving out. I don't know where to put all my Batmobiles and all that. But there was only one nephew that I trusted that wouldn't break anything. I just said, hey, these are yours for a very long time. But when you don't want them, give them back to me. And so, yeah, he's got quite a lot of them. But this these are just on my shelf at the moment. I actually have a $400 remote control Batmobile from the Justice League. So I think I showed you that on video one time, and you're like, "Oh wow, this is amazing." So
I know it
um,
was so like impressive. It's like every small. Cause can't you control it with your iPhone too? Is that, or am I thinking of something different?
I control it with my iPhone. You can control. It's like a smoke machine at the back. When it drives smoke, just comes out. It's so fun. Yeah, like I collect all them. I used to have a Adam West autograph with Burt Ward, and so actually sold that recently because it was sitting in my cupboard for a long time. And I'm a part of this 1960s, 70s Batman group on Facebook, and some guy commented saying, "Hey, he unfortunately lost his," and he took a photo of his bedroom, and it was just decked out with all these. Um, Batman memorabilia from the Adam West era. And so he goes, I'm willing to buy it. So yeah, I messaged the guy saying, wow, like I was really happy to see it because I was thinking maybe I should give it to someone that would take care of it. I've had offers, but I was like, yeah, I don't trust anyone. I want it to go to a good home. And when I sold it to this guy, and he even took a photo, sent it, and said it's on my wall. I'm like, yeah, it belonged to him. And, I'm really happy that, I can see other Batman fans appreciate things that I've sold them. And yeah, so I used to own quite a lot of autographs. Even Ray Fisher from the Justice League, even got a signed autograph from Jason Momoa as
Oh
Aquaman.
dang!
Yeah, no, I've been quite fortunate. I have a good friend of mine. Whenever I can't make it to a Comic Con, he will actually pay to get an autograph for me, and he's just a great friend. So it's good, man. Now I love collecting memorabilia. It's been fun. I think ever since having a little boy, when he grows up, he will get to see some of the things that I have, and he will inherit them one day, and hopefully, will fall in love with the hero that I fell in love with. Man, it's awesome. Um, so I wanted to talk about what's your favorite comic book or memory of a comic book story that captured your attention?
Ooh. Okay, I'll give you one of each. Well, my favorite comic book, that's a short one, and then the other one I'll give you the story of my favorite memory. So my favorite comic book is Batman: The Long Halloween,
Yeah,
because that book was the first book that I actually like really, because like when you're young, I don't know if you relate to this, but like when you're younger and you like comic books look cool, but then when you look, but a lot of times you don't actually read them. You just skim through and you look at the pictures and you're like, oh, there's a picture of like a
oh
guy getting
yeah,
punched in the face. Like, yeah, the Long Halloween was the first book that I actually read, and that book is like amazing for every reason. Like the art's really good, the story's really good. It's a mystery, and it's like it's early in Batman's career, so you don't really
yeah,
know if he like So I'm pretty sure it's like in that universe is when when he first meets the Joker too, but he's just like a side plot guy. But like
yeah,
but also too like I don't want to give away the ending, but the ending is very much like it's not like a traditional Batman happy ending type
yeah,
Batman. It's just kind of like you've just read 300 pages to get to this other part, and you're like, oh, okay, that's really cool. But my
yeah,
favorite memory is I remember I used to long time ago we used to go on vacation to this city like about 8 hours away, like in Oregon, and there was this thrift, like this used bookstore that we would go to because my mom, like on vacations, I don't know if like your mom's like this, but like my mom was always like, I need books to read on vacation. So like
yeah.
we'd have to go get books. She would never read any of them. She'd just buy a whole bunch of them. But we, but we would go to like this used
That's
bookstore
motherhood for
and
you.
yeah, and we would go to this bookstore, and it would always be like super boring. It smells really bad because all these books are like dusty and old. And so like you're just waiting for my mom to pick out like a James Patterson book or whatever. And so I remember I walked in this one little section, and there's a section dedicated just to comic books, and they were all like falling apart and terrible. But I remember I found it was an old 1980s Silver Surfer book, and then there was also a DC, I think it was the Justice Society of America, and it had Doctor Fate, Superman, and then Uncle Sam, who I didn't even realize was a character, but like Uncle Sam, the comic book character, who was like, I don't know what his deal was or whatever, but it was like they were fighting off an alien invasion, and I remember looking at Doctor Fate and watching him like fly over as he's like taking dudes out with his like weird
Yeah,
powers and stuff, and I remember like that was the very first time that I like looked at a comic book and I was like, this is amazing just by looking at like the art of it. But that's probably my favorite comic book memory with that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think we were talking about that like quite a few weeks ago. The fact that you were talking about Uncle Sam, and I was actually watching a cartoon when I was around 8 years old, I think. I was watching one of the Batman animated cartoons with Superman in it, and all of a sudden, out of the blue, just magically appears Uncle Sam, and there he goes, "I have come." He goes, "I have come back with more power because people have have more American spirit." I was like, "Wait, what's going on?" And so, what's going on here?
America.
No, but man, no, it's so cool when you can actually relate to something so fun and awesome. But for me, my favorite comic book, or a memory of one, when I grew up, I remember the death of Superman, with Doomsday. That really captured my attention because when I was young, around 5 to 6 years old, I would put on like grab some pegs off the clothesline, grab a red towel, clip it up the back, and I'll just run around the street pretending that I'm Superman. And I was like, wow, this is fun, fun. Superman's unbeatable. Like to a kid, you think no one can kill him, no one can hurt him. And all of a sudden, one day, I was like at this bookstore at one of the shopping centers, or how you call it, a mall.
Yeah.
Um, Suddenly, I saw the death of Superman. My little child heart broke. I picked it up and I saw the big fight of Doomsday and Superman was dead, and Lois Lane's holding him, crying, and then you're just seeing like all these heroes next to him, all hurt and badly injured, and then you're like reading that Lex Luthor created this being like from Kryptonian DNA or something, and I'm like, what? And then I'm like, go home, and I'm like heartbroken, like he's dead. Like, what do I do? And it was awesome. Weeks later, I went to that same bookstore. Then all of a sudden, they had part two where Superman came back in a black suit. And I'm
Back
like,
in black.
wait, what? No, back in black, man. And it was amazing. I'm like, what? And he just then bashed up Doomsday like a rag doll. Like he didn't stop. And so I'm like, well, now that's Superman. I think it was so creative and just taught me that, look, no matter who you are, like superhero or not, like we can always lose or we can always fall, but it depends how we can come back bigger and better and stronger. I think that was awesome. But another one I think we spoke about was by Scott Snyder, Batman, The Court of Owls, like what you mentioned before.
Yes.
That captured my attention, man. Like that and The Dark Knight Returns. But Court of Owls, that whole series, like Death of a Family with Joker and how they cut his face off. I'm like, oh, okay, what's going on there? But Court of Owls smashed it out of the park. I fell in love with that. I think I read that comic book series like 10 times. It's just the way it was, the artwork, as you mentioned, was amazing. The story, where secret society within Gotham that Bruce Wayne never knew about, I think that was incredible. But I think for me, the stories that captured me more in my teenage years when I researched was actually, I'll show you something in my little collection. This is a
Okay.
replica.
Oh.
A replica of the first Superman comic from Action Comics, 1938. So this isn't the real one. The real one is going at least, I think, around $900,000 at the moment. So a certificate of authenticity one goes around $250. So it was good. I actually got that from a gift from my brother. So that was awesome. So when I heard, like, Joe Shuster and Jerry Siegel, when they created Superman back in 1938, those were troubling times. People were like, felt that there was no sense of hope. It was boring, there was nothing to rebuild society. And when those two guys came together and, and said, let's bring something to life, the fact that when they had that on every street corner of a superhero lifting a car, saving a man, they're like, okay, whoa, like what's going on there? And when you read it, you're like, this man he's from another planet, but he's also has feelings, and I was like, this is amazing. I think that really changed history when they brought the Superman to life. Every child wanted to be Superman. Even every adult got that confidence, like the stand up, they have their hands behind their waist, and then it just became just a phenomenon, creating Superman. But also, like, when it came to Batman being that next year in 1939, where Bob Kane and came up with the concept and of that idea of Batman, and he got the artist Bill Finger to draw Batman so it just became incredible. So after when the Action Comics came out with where you see Batman on the cover holding a criminal swinging in the air, you're like, okay, what's going on here? When you read it, people are like, wow, this billionaire kid, his parents got killed in front of him in like a street corner, and he's an orphan. His butler looked after him it just created such a big global impact where you can see that it's actually creating so much happiness around the world. And I think that's what I love about the history of the whole comic book like when it comes to stories. I think when you go back to the classic, that's where you learn where it put so many smiles on people's faces and where it actually started to bring it to where we are now. I think that's amazing. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
That's what I've always fell in love with is when you go back and read the original, you're like, this is where it began. And, it's incredible seeing other comic book writers or even directors and film studios give their own versions of the characters and bring them to life. And when you see it, you're like, wow, this is all that you ever wanted. And sometimes you pretend to be them out of for fun going, if I was Batman, what would you do? I think that's incredible. Like, yeah, that's just me.
No, I completely agree. Like you said too, like the only thing I would add to like you said, like the two writers of Superman, like they were living through the Great Depression, and they were like they were looking around. They were like, wouldn't it be great if there was someone who could just come and swoop in and save the day? And then it led to Superman. And when they actually approached the because before DC was even around, and they approached to get it published, they actually got rejected because the art wasn't good enough. Yeah, and then finally the art was like the guy just kept working on the art, and then they got it out, and then but yeah, it's very much just like the whole idea of like hope, and I think that's like superheroes, and not even just superheroes, but I'd just say like stories altogether. Like they kind of have like a two, like there's like two uses of them. I feel like one is to inspire people to be more like them, but also two, I would say the other one is like to point them to a hope that we all long for, but one that like we don't necessarily see, So it's like when things are falling apart and we're like, oh, sometimes it feels like there is like a villain out there who's destroying stuff, and we need that like Superman to come in and save the day. And I would say like that's my favorite because I love hope. Like I love it when shows point, like not shows, stories point to hope, because it's like it's what we're all looking for, and like it's real, But like yeah, Superman's like the perfect example of that.
Absolutely. I think the fact that I love when you hear that these writers and the artists struggle to get the story out. Like I can picture these guys going to all these newspapers and they're saying that this story is horrible. You're never going anywhere. Even the Stan Lee, when he created Spider-Man, they told him this story is useless. It's garbage. This won't work. And he actually begged them, going, look, just give it a go. When they gave it a go, that next week, it was the biggest thing that ever happened to the industry. And then the big boss walked up to Stanley going, hey, remember that Spider-Man story that I loved so much? And he said in his bio that he just rolled his eyes and said, yep, but look, at the end of the day, I think, these people stepped out of their boundaries to push and create something so big to make such a global impact. And, that's what I love when you read up about these people that have created all these heroes. Some of them were just pushed around, rejected, and like even got told like, why are you making, a Greek god, Zeus, or why are you making Thor? It doesn't make sense if you put them with humans. It's like, hey, these people have an imagination. They want to bring it to life. And when you actually see their perspective and when they work on it, then you will see, as you said, the hope that they bring in the story. And that's where we can actually relate to, you know, in the gospel of Jesus, man. He was our hope, he was our hero, and I think that's just. Even a lot of these writers even would have got inspiration from the gospel of Christ, man. I think that's just incredible.
Yeah, I think that's perfectly well said. Like I agree 100%. Like I think like it points back to the true hero, you know, like to the true the dude, like because like if you look at Superman's like the basically the borderline indestructible guy who came from another planet to save the world, you know. So it's like it's like dang, dude, you know, it's like dang. But yeah, I completely agree.
Absolutely. Oh man, this has been awesome chatting. Man, I was so excited when this was going to come up because you and we always have great chats, and hopefully next time when Steve comes on, I don't mind asking him a lot of questions because he mentioned that he had a memorabilia shop. I really want to
Yes.
ask him because I work in a supermarket, and when I'm working, sometimes you get the strangest people come in. I want to know, does he deal with a lot of weird people coming in, asking for the most weirdest things? Like, you know, I actually am quite interested to see what stories he has for us.
I am as well, because I'm sure he has some. I know you weren't on the call, but he was telling me some. But I don't want to spoil it for you.
No, that's fine. Or for the viewers, yeah.
There you go. There you go. I got inside knowledge. So
Oh man, you know what's funny? You know, Bane in The Dark Knight Rises. I used some of his speeches when I was at work years ago when we were in the managers circle. You know how Bane goes, "I'm here to give to you, the people." You know, I read this
the
big thing.
people.
Yeah, I actually read that out, and some people were like, "Wow, Phil's really stepped up to his plate." And I'm just thinking, yeah, I'm actually being a villain right now, and they don't know it.
There you go. There you go. That's like I have where we live. We have to wear masks when we go out, and so I got a Bane mask. So I and just like just walk around like I'm like a super scrawny little short dude. So like it's super ironic, but it's still fun to wear.
No, all you got to do is shave your head, go on the roids for a few months, and you'll be right.
Yeah, that's all I got to do. That's all there is to it.
You know, talking about dressing up and going out. Years ago, I used to own a few $100 replica Man of Steel costume, and unfortunately, it got missing. Like, it got lost. My friend goes, "Oh, wear it, go for a walk," and I also had a Spider-Man costume. So he wore the Spider-Man costume. I wore the Superman. I was a bit embarrassed. I was like 21 at the time, walking in the street. And I was just walking head up, and I even did my hair, and people were like, "Thank you for your service." I was like, "Thank you."
There you go. There you go.
We went bowling. Some people were giving us weird looks. And on the side was actually these little kids that were having a birthday party. They were so young, they actually thought that we were real. And so my friend was like, they're running up to us, and the parents were walking up going, "Hi, can we get a few photos with you?" I was like, "Of course." And all these kids were like, "Are you the real Superman?" I was like, "Yes, I am, young man. Of course I am." You know, I had to put on the voice, and then all of their mouths dropped saying, "How can we be a good superhero?" And I just remember Tobey Maguire from Spider-Man, like, "Eat your green vegetables."
Yeah, I was gonna say, eat your vegetables.
Eat your vegetables. You know, be good to your mother, be good to your family, do your homework, and then eventually you will see a clear path. And they're like, "Whoa!" Like, you know, it's like what I said before. When they see these young kids seeing these superheroes, and they still think they're real, their eyes light up. And yeah, that it was funny that day, but also pretty fun to reenact the characters. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's fun, man.
that's awesome. You changed their lives.
Yeah, you know what's funny? When they grow up, they're gonna get so mad. He wasn't the real Superman.
Yeah, they're gonna come find you, beat you up.
Pretty much, no, they're gonna be like the new Batman. They just come and beat me up and say, like, "I'm vengeance."
I'm vengeance. I'm
Oh, it's so
Batman.
good, man. You know what will be funny? Next time we have Steve on, we got to do like a Batman voice competition. I think that would be perfect.
There we go. I know. I'd love to hear like 'cause I've only ever talked to Steve once, so I'd love to hear him talk like Batman. Just see what he's got.
I think it'll be amazing, man. I think we should end this off, man. I think it's been great chatting to you. But next week we'll next podcast we'll definitely have Steve on, and it'll be great to hear from him. So I'll end this off by saying thank you for watching our first Sanctuary fan panel. It's been great chatting about the superheroes and how we related to them and the history and what we love. And yeah, if people want to comment on this video and see what else we want to talk about, please do. Thanks for watching. And Hayden, thank you, man. You've been incredible.
Thank you. Dude, it's been fun. Man. I'm looking forward to next week.
Oh, you and me both, man.
All right.